Welcome back to my studio. I am in here today working on those 3 mixed media pieces that I think I started this one the last time we were together, and I'm still working on it. It feels a little bland, so I'm not sure what I'll add to it, but I'm still working on that. And then I have these other 2 that I'm working on sort of simultaneously. So I thought I would work on those. Um, this process, this is tissue paper that I painted and then collaged onto this watercolor paper. And I'm not sure I like it at all. I don't know if I like working on it. I do like the texture that it brings, but I'm not sure. Um, anyway, if you're new here, I'm Jackie Wolven, and once a week I invite you into my studio where I talk about stuff. We have coffee, and I paint, or I try to paint and talk, which is a new thing for me. So welcome if you're new, and I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you being here a lot. This week, I had the opportunity to go to a training in for my job for all the executive directors of nonprofits that do downtown development. And so it was a 5-hour drive. And so on the way there, I listened to a book from Prentis Hemphill called What It Takes to Heal. Let me look, I want to get the title exactly right. What It Takes to Heal: How Transforming Ourselves Can Change the World. And Prentis is a Black activist and healer in somatic healing, and I think she's also a therapist, trained therapist, and she was very active. She was part of the staff of the Black Lives Matter movement. And this book takes you through sort of what it took her personally to be part of that movement, but also the imperative for us as change makers and organization leaders to heal ourselves in order to do the work in community. And I just am so in love with this because that's exactly the path that I'm on personally. I've been in nonprofit leadership for 20 years, and I think that the work I've done in the last 5 years to heal my own stuff has been a tremendous boon, not to only to myself and family and people who connect with me, but also to the work that I do and the work that I do in community. I have a greater capacity to hold empathy, to be empathetic, because I'm not as triggered of people's issues or trauma that surfaces during contentious moments. I'm able to have more clarity, and I feel like this place that we're in. I know I talked about it in the last studio chat too. Was that I think that we are in a real time where understanding our own personal um, mental health issues is is what will move our work forward and actually society forward. Like, doing that work isn't selfish, and it isn't just for you. It's for the whole of community. And this book just really brought that on. And I listened to it and she read it, which really was um, felt like a personal conversation with her, which is lovely, honestly. And it's there's a lot of hard stuff in it, and a lot of, she endured a lot during the Black Lives Matter movement, um, and came to terms with a lot on her own. And just really, yeah, if you get a chance to listen to it or read it, it's not a long book. It's I think it took 7 hours to listen to. It's not a long book, and it's just worth it if you are in any kind of nonprofit development or leadership or anything like that, I would highly recommend taking a listen. I have Audible credits, so it was an easy thing for me, but I'm sure um, you can ask your local library or go ahead and purchase it. It's good. It's really good. And I think it's calling us as leaders for this next thing is that it's not enough to lead movements or lead organizations or change communities. We really need to change ourselves and work on ourselves in order to do that work. And it just was really empowering. And yeah, I highly recommend. Yeah. I want to keep you updated. Mm. Oh, it's the worst coffee. We're out of coffee, which seems like why, but I traveled and I didn't remember to put it in the grocery order anyway. And so this is instant coffee, which if you like, good, but not great. But I will finish it. I will finish it. Um, I wanted to keep you updated on my morning sunlight challenge. This is the work of um, Huberman, who says if you get morning sunlight, you are going to change your circadian rhythms so that you sleep better at night. So there's like science behind it. It isn't just some like hooey idea. It's like if you do this, you will sleep better. And as I said last time, as a middle-aged person, I don't know if it's middle-aged anymore, honestly. I went to someone's 75th birthday last night and I didn't feel like she was even in middle age yet. So I don't know when that starts and stops, but if you're my age, I'm 54, sleep is a big deal. Getting good sleep is a big deal. And so my sunlight challenge, I successfully went outside to get sunlight in the early morning 3 times this last week, which isn't great out of 7. uh, but I will give myself a tiny bit of grace that uh, I traveled for 2 days. I was on the road for 2 days, um, down into central Arkansas and then back. So those days were kind of a wash because I was, driving. So there was that. And then when you travel, even though, it was for work, when I get home, there are things to do. And so I did those things. And that, I'd get up and I would think, oh my gosh, I need to get this done and I need to get this done and I need to get this done. And so in honesty, 3 times out of 7. But that's not a total failure. That's 3 times that I did it. And so we will keep working. I will say this. I realized that what I enjoy is doing something. I don't want to sit outside. It's hot. I think that will change as the weather changes. But right now it is hot. And so I am happy to be outside if I'm doing something. But if I'm just sitting, it's not comfortable. And so the 3 times that I was successful, I was in the garden or I was walking the dog or, just something outside, doing something. And I had no problem going outside to be active, to do something. And so that's just to me good information that I probably don't when it's hot like this. When it's hot like this, I probably don't want to sit outside. I mean, like it's not pleasant. It's not enjoyable at all. And so I will continue working on my challenge. I am not going to give up. I feel like it is a habit worth doing. And so I will keep you updated each week while I'm in the studio. So this is where those updates will be. And let's see how it goes. Let's see how it goes this week, right? It's a whole other week. We'll see if I'm able to do it and see if it how I feel about it and keep going. I'm just going to keep going. I will say, like I said, this is the hottest time of the year in where I live, and so it's a challenge. It's a challenge, but yeah, I'm gonna keep trying. I'm gonna keep trying, and yeah, I'll keep you updated. I'll keep you updated for sure. I'm not sure how I'm feeling about these actually, but they're fun to do. They're fun, and I'm just gonna keep charging on with them. Um, Sometimes when you're painting there are stages where you're like, yes, I love it, 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 and then there are stages where you don't love it quite so much. And so I'm not at that. I think they're interesting, and so I'm going to just keep plugging along on the process of them. They're all just still lives, not from a reference, just from my own mind. And so I'm in here just trying to create something that's interesting. That's what I'm not loving about them. They don't have like a surprise element or anything that makes you go, oh, that's interesting, that's fun. So there might, I don't know, I might have to do something a little bold. But we'll get these down, and then maybe, then we'll see. That's sort of how I work in general, is work, and then go back and see how I feel about it. But I like the colors, and I am enjoying the texture. There's no doubt the texture of the tissue paper is fun to paint on. It creates an extra element that other paintings don't have, and that I don't think you could replicate actually. And so I do like that. But we will see. We'll see if I take them to the finish line. Is always that's the can I do it? Can I actually finish them? So sometimes I get bored. That's part of the life of a creative too, is that sometimes you get bored. So we'll keep going though. We're going to keep going. So the last thing I want to talk about was an idea that I'm sort of working through in my own therapy. So I think it might have value to you. I don't know. I'm still working on it, so I'm not an expert by any means. Um, but I'm working on the idea. I'm working on the idea of staying focused on the big picture. This is especially relevant when something is making me anxious, is to like remember the why I'm doing something. So I'll give a scenario. So I am, you know, a little bit controlling. I don't want to be, but it's about trust and learning to have trust. And it's a process to learn to trust. And so I am uh, learning to, let people do things the way that they want to do them, and know that they have the best intentions, and bring that bigger self to the process, as opposed to getting caught up in anxiety. And it's helping. It is helping when I can remember. When I can remember. It is hard to remember the big picture sometimes, even though that is what, I I truly believe that people I work with, people in my life, have my best intentions. I am not a person who believes people are out to get me, or want to see anything that we're doing fail, or anything that I'm doing fail. And so I'm just in my mind having to stay focused on what the big goal is, what the big picture is. And it's usually not on the outcome of any said thing. So I think that's an important thing to remember. It's not about any one project. I'm more interested in community development, engagement, helping people foster friendships and belonging. And so the the projects are just um, catalysts to do that work, right? To catalysts to help engage belonging. It isn't about the project. whatever that is. It's about how did we foster relationship within that? How did we make connections for people? How did we help them ground deeper into the place that we love? So, all the work I do is about place. And it feels like if I can keep that as my main focus, then I can get out of my own way a little bit. And that's, it's been helpful. It's been helpful to try to do that. And I feel like the more I practice that, the big why, the big picture, when I'm starting to have those flutters of anxiety, I think it will help. And so it's a big practice. This is, I have I grew up in a pretty unstable home life. My parents tried, but they had a lot of issues themselves. And so trust is, developed and built and has a foundation of whatever you had, whatever you brought into it, right? And so I just need to fall back on the bigger idea that I have about trust is that yeah, everybody does have the best interest in everything that we do and everyone that we work with. And so not bringing in that childhood uh, development, or the childhood trauma, basically, and lifting off of that, saying like, yes, that is my experience, that it wasn't trustworthy, and yet trying to understand that that's not where I am today. I'm 54. I'm not a child anymore, and I can recognize that that's where the issue comes from, and then still at the same time engage in life differently. And so I'm excited to work on that. And how I'm working on it, honestly, is I have to remind myself, like, when I start to feel the flutters of anxiety, I have to say to myself, like, what is the bigger goal? What is the bigger picture? What are we actually trying to do here? And that helps so much. It helps so much. And so, yeah, it's been a good week. It's been a good week. Um, a lot of self-reflection. At the training that we were at, we were doing diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging training, which is great because that's right in alignment of the work that I'm doing, both both externally and internally. And I don't think you can have enough of that training, even if you know it all or you've gone through all of your own stuff. Stuff always comes up, and you learn more about yourself and other people. And so that was great. And just, working through stuff, which is basically what life is about, just continuing to work through stuff. And I'm here for it. I'm so here for the challenge of that. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, I certainly appreciate you joining me in my studio this week. And these are obviously not finished paintings. There will be many more hours spent on them, but you'll see them. I will, as I continue on them, I will continue to show you the process and where I am and what I'm doing. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you like looking, talking and being invited into this space that I just love so much. I did have someone ask, I don't know if you can see it, but back here, what is that? And that is my giant dog's um, bed. He has his own separate bed, but he's huge, and so it has to be huge. So that's what that is. So he shares my studio with me. He's not in here right now. He's out checking out on Dad, who is mowing, which you might have heard in the background. Sorry about that, but it's just part of life. I live on property that needs to be mowed constantly, so that's what he was doing. Yeah, so Thanks again. I appreciate you being here, and we'll continue. We'll continue, and I'll see you next week. And who knows where I'll be on these or on something new, but I'll keep you up on the process. And if you have any questions or you want to know more about my artwork or about the work I do out in the world or what I'm reading, just leave it in the comments. I'm happy to answer questions on the next video. I want to bring you in just like you were here. I work in the studio alone all the time, and it is just such a blessing to be able to do it, to open it up this way. And so yeah, let me know what you want to know. Let me know what you're interested in. I'm happy to talk about all the things, all the things. Until next time.